Well, I want to thank Phil and Marcia for not just this reading, but for all that they do for your poetry community up here. And not only just for this community, but for all the poets in Southern California. You know, it makes it, as Phil said, one giant supportive group, and I'm very happy to be part of that. I'm going to start with two poems that I wish were no longer relevant. This first one starts with an epigraph written by taken from the author Alicia Partnoy, who some of you may know. She teaches at LMU. It's in Spanish and English, and I apologize to all the Spanish speakers in the room. Me cortaron la voz, dos voces tengo. They cut out my voice. I have two voices. What they do. This is what they do when you disagree, when you cast your vote in a well that has no bucket, when the rope has been used for other purposes, when you live for years under house arrest and the house is your mother's, when there are no charges against you but electric, when interrogation is philosophy, when prison is a commandeered schoolhouse, you are locked either in or out. When police protection takes on a more subtle meaning. When poems are verdicts. When you pour out your wine to fill the bottles with gasoline. When even your blood is flammable. When your blood is damned. When your friends and their wives hide their wrists. When the children are candles. When sleep becomes a memory and memory sleeps. When concrete and wire are comforting. When all colors are shades of steel and tin. When maps are folded into smaller and smaller squares. When doors stay closed and windows become exits. When curtains are black leather. When all the birds molt into sparrows and you feed them crumbs of metal. When leaves are stapled onto branches now, there will never be a fall. When the light goes out and there is no difference. This is what they do when they fear your other voice more than anything they have taken or lost, more than beating clocks, dripping spigots, and tiny whirring insects in the silence of their night. The same apology to Spanish speakers holds in this poem too. Borderline. Mexico is bleeding people. I am opening the sky for them. Some smell of ochre earth. Some are calloused as coyote paws. Others just refract light. A few speak only in breezes. I can taste the fires in the kitchens they left behind. Their cold matches rattle like dried insects in my mouth. Martin crossed near Patagonia, Arizona. I did not open the sky for him. Instead, I parted the imaginary river. I walk along its banks, waiting for Ocotillo to bloom. The manzanita has such red branches, even now. Only a pendejo or a bruja can see beyond the chain link, and flowers with petals so large, they hide us from La Migra. You know what they always say. El viento sobre la tierra tumba muertos. Ah, yes, this land's remorseless wind does blow away the dead. Sunshine spills melancholy as Martin collects rattlesnakes and puts them in his pockets. Puma won't sit beside him when they stop to share the last of their water. He will stand only, tell his stories from a distance, speak of neon cities in some future north where it will rain sticky money on them all. Their haggard map points the way to intersections with no corners. But that's the way it is once you pass La Linea. The gash is 2,000 miles long, and all the barbed wire in the world cannot suture the wound. That was before walls. And I'm going to close with a poem from a 10-poem sequence called In Memory of Her Memory, which details the arc of my mother through Alzheimer's disease. This is section 4. The horse that is my mother's memory has run away. It hasn't gone far. We can see it standing on the hill beside our property, a silhouette at twilight. I don't know who feeds or curries it now, or if it has gone completely feral. Sometimes the horse will come close, stand just out of rope's reach. She calls to it, then whispers of their past together. The horse nickers and snorts softly when she mentions Philadelphia or Chicago. Its long neck extends and the horse shakes its head when she talks about my father, how she misses him, how people still stop her on the street or in the grocery store to tell her they miss him too. The horse doesn't seem to mind that she repeats herself so often. No one recalls when the horse got out or who left the stable door open. But perhaps the horse will return on its own, and we'll find it early one morning in its stall, munching hay and burnished oats. We'll stroke the velvet blaze on its forehead, reach into our back pockets for those special carrots it loves. And if we're lucky, the horse will linger for a while, maybe lead us to the place where it last saw my mother's missing hearing, which also slipped away silently while we were all asleep. Thank you for listening.